Salutations, all, and welcome back to another kitchen adventure. I hope that the holidays were kind to you. As we roll into the new year, we want to just throw out a few little things in case you plan on having that party. Today, we're going to be making pot stickers or dumplings because technically we're going to fry these. We're not going to do them in a pot. You're saying to yourself, what's the difference? Pot sticker, dumpling, wonton, strips. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot of difference outside of how we're going to cook them. Now, if you want to be technical, there is a difference between the dough used for a dumpling and the dough used for a pot sticker. I'm not going to be technical. No one's here to stop me from doing it. So we're going to take some wontons, we're going to fill them with some goodness, we're going to fry them, we're going to dip them in sauce, and you're going to enjoy it because we said so. Let's get into this adventure. So we're going to make, for the most part, a fried shrimp dumpling, right? Now, we're going to do it with a little bit of a twist as well. We're going to do a straight up shrimp and some veggies, and then we're going to add a little cream cheese to the other ones, kind of like a crab rangoon that you would order at your local Asian takeout spot, right? So, wonton wrappers. Bam. Here they are. Now, you can see here, these are more traditional, what you're used to seeing. They're the square kind. You'll see them as we get the package. And then I've got some round ones as well. Does it really matter? No, it's just a personal preference thing. But for me, since we're going to do some that have cream cheese and some that don't, I wanted to make sure that we had different vessels for those. So like I said, we've got some shrimp over here. I'm going to get those cleaned. We're going to chop them down. We're going to throw in some really nicely finely minced carrot, some green onion, or in this case, some chive. We'll throw some chive in there, season it up really nice with some sesame and all that goodness, and then we're going to fry them. But we'll get into the details.
So first thing that we're doing, we're going to take our shrimp, and I've got 2 pounds of shrimp total. Obviously, that amount is going to be different depending on how much you are trying to prepare. But we're going to just chop it down pretty nice. Now, we could have done this in the food processor and saved us a lot of time, but I didn't want to over blend it and then have shrimp paste or just a mush. We want to still have some of that nice meaty texture, so we're going to chop it up. One day we'll upgrade to a camera that will focus so you can see everything clearly, but there's our full 2 pounds of shrimp chopped down right there. And now we're going to go in with our chives. And there's a lot of different ways that you can have your chives be bound together for ease of cutting. Some people will take them, wrap them in a paper towel, this, that, and the third. But with some practice and a little time, you'll be able to manage just fine. Just remember, keep those fingers tucked in or they will go missing. So again, we're going to use our chives here as opposed to the green onions. I mean, it's all part of the onion family, so we're going to get that nice flavor either way. So it's up to you on what you use. And we just kind of chiffonade those down. Sorry again about the focus situation. And then I've got some leftover carrot sticks. You remember we did the beef stew, and so I've got plenty of carrots left. So we're going to add that for texture, flavor, and nutrients. Of course, we got to have our veggies. So we're going to chop those down as well. Nothing too difficult about that, right? Easy peasy. So get them in the bowl. All right, now we've got our cilantro. Now, if you're wanting to be fancy schmancy, you're going to pull each individual leaf of the cilantro off and chop it. But again, you're going to pay for the whole thing. I chop down the whole thing, stem and all, because we're going to cut it down small enough that you're not going to be able to tell the difference once it's mixed all in. So why waste such good product, right? And then again, we had some mushrooms in the house, so we figured, you know what, we might as well add that. Mushrooms would be a nice filler, and they also absorb a lot of whatever juices may come out, so you don't end up with soggy dumplings or soggy pot stickers. And I know we keep going back and forth between the dumpling and the pot sticker thing, and again, it's really about the dough that's used and how you really prepare them. And a pot sticker is called that because it's typically fried in a pot or even steamed a little bit in a hot pot. And it's all about who you talk to and how they choose to do it. But we're going to deep fry these because we're in Texas, and that's just how things are done here. So again, we're going to chop down our mushroom, get that added, nice little filler. Got everything in our bowl. And I'm going to go in with a teaspoon and a half of chopped garlic. Okay, a teaspoon and a half because we want the shrimp flavor to come through. So we don't want to overpower it with a lot of stuff, right? All right, so after that, I've got a little bit of soy sauce there, and I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And then after my soy sauce, I'm going to go in with a little sesame oil. And sesame oil is a very strong, flavorful oil, so it does not take very much. So I just did a nice teaspoon of that. So again, I wanted to make sure you guys knew what we were doing. So of course the garlic, the soy sauce there. It doesn't really matter the brand. It's going to be a personal preference. And then I've got some fish sauce that's going to go in and some sesame. That's with sesame right there. And then now we're going to go in with the fish sauce. And the fish sauce, it tastes like what it says, right? It's going to taste like a little bit of fish. It's pretty good and salty. So it's why we didn't go too heavy with the soy sauce as well, because we are building quite the palette of sodium there. And then, of course, we're going to hit it at the end with just a little bit of salt and pepper, but just a little bit. And then also with the salt and pepper, we also go in with a little sprinkling of ginger. So we've got our salt and pepper added and a little bit of our ginger. Now what I'm doing is separating some eggs. We're going to put 2 egg yolks in. Now the egg yolks, we're going to add a little bit of fat to it, right? Because shrimp is kind of a lean meat. We don't want it to dry out. But it's also going to be our binder. It's going to help our filling stick together. Because even though it's wrapped in that wonton, sometimes a little oil gets in or we get a tear in our wonton and we don't want all of our stuff floating in our fryer. So the egg will help to hold it together. Now you can absolutely do it without the egg. If you have somebody with allergies or something like that, by all means, omit the egg. And we're going to keep the egg whites on the side as well. And what I've done with the egg whites is I've added a little cold water to that, and it's going to act like our glue. So I'm just going to use my finger. I don't have a pastry brush in the house, believe it or not. We don't bake very often here. But it's going to act like our glue to hold our wontons together. And it'll actually help once you get to frying it. It'll make it extra crispy. Now, of course, it takes a little bit of practice to figure out how much filling you're going to put into your wonton. You definitely want to be gentle with it. I'm not always the best at things that take finesse, so I've got to be very careful. And something to consider when you're pressing with your fork, you don't want to press too hard. Pressing too hard will cause the wonton to tear at the edges and it actually won't seal. It's the same thing you would do if we were making our ravioli, if you remember that, or even with like a pie crust or a pie shell. You don't want to mash it too hard. Now here I'm just playing around showing that you can make different shapes. It doesn't really matter. It's very pliable once it's in there. And once you kind of get the rhythm of how much to put in, it actually gets pretty quick on building these. But that first little round can be a little bit tough. So we're working on our plain ones right now. And like I said, depending on your preferences, you can make them all kinds of shapes. You can roll the edges as opposed to simply pressing them. You could even layer 2 wonton on top of the other instead of trying to fold them over. So you can actually get more filling in them that way if you use 2 wontons as opposed to one and folding it over. And again, just playing around with the shapes and whatnot just to show what can be done with them if you choose. Kind of like a tortellini at that point, right? All right, moving on from that. So you see we've got quite a few of them done. I went away from trying to roll them. Now what I'm showing you here is kind of like the more of what you would think of a pot sticker, of that shape. But again, for what we're doing, it's not necessary. All right, so now I've got some softened cream cheese. And I've just added some crushed red pepper. I'm going to add quite a bit of sugar. I don't say quite a bit, a hearty pinch of sugar to this. And the sugar will help balance out some of that heat. You're not going to really taste the sweetness of it over the rest of the ingredients that we have here. You won't consciously taste it, but it's there. Your body and your tongue, they know. They know. And we just want to get that mixed up really, really nice. Get everything incorporated well into that cream cheese. So you can see here we use the round ones for our cream cheese ones. A little half moon shape there. And because we had the leftover mushrooms, I figure why not, right? Might as well cook them up. So I've got the fryer set at 350 degrees. And the thing about frying anything, whether you're frying fish or chicken or even these dumplings, these pot stickers, you want them to be pretty dry on the outside, right? Dry on the outside equals crispy. If they are wet or if you let them sit too long, they will start to, the moisture of them will make them soft, and they won't quite be as crispy as you like. Something you can do with these, though, as well, is you can freeze them. So you can freeze them, pull them out, and fry them. Now, if you do that, I would probably turn that fryer down just a little bit so they don't burn on the outside. Because all we're looking at this point is we want them to get that GBD, right? That golden brown deliciousness that we love. And that color is coming on perfectly. And we've got the mushrooms in the oven as well at this particular time, and the oven is set at 350. Mushrooms went in for about 10 to 12 minutes as well. I'm just going to fry them till they're nice and golden. One thing too, when frying anything, don't overdo it with your fryer. You don't want to overload it, because it'll actually cool the oil down and it'll have the opposite effects of what you're wanting. You're going to end up with stuff that's going to absorb a lot of grease. So be patient, take your time, even between when you want to load it again, let that oil, heat back up and get back where it needs to be. You have to be patient when you're frying. However you plate it up, that's on you, however you want to do it. Just make it pretty. At the end of the day, we eat with our eyes, right? So we got these plated up, and we're going to come in with a little sweet chili sauce in our first one. Getting that opened up there. And with the other one, we're going to go a little more savory, and I've got some sriracha mayo. Ideally, too, a little soy sauce would be nice. Add that extra little bit of salt flavor, that umami with the soy sauce. And we're going to add a little color, right? We're going to add a little garnish, just so our mother is proud. Look at that. It just added $2 to your total bill. Well, that's it. Pretty straightforward. Pretty easy. Delicious.
So that's it right there. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I mean, the longest part of this whole thing is getting it prepped and taking your time when you're folding over your wrappers. One thing to think about too, again, I probably said this already, but no worries there. But be careful when you're pressing it. When you're pressing it with your fork, you're pressing your edges. You don't want to press too hard. Pressing too hard will actually cause the edges to come open, and all of your stuff will float into your fryer. As you saw, I went in threw some mushrooms in. I mean, why not? We had the mushrooms, we had the extra filling. Waste not, want not, right? So it was requested, so I created. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know how yours turn out. Click on that like button, comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see. Like I said, haven't met anything that we can't cook. So come back for another adventure.